to our other topics. Ascend. What the bleep does that even mean?
Oh my goodness. What does that even mean? I'm still trying to figure it out. When I think I gotta figure it out, it's like,
It's a process. It's called life.
yeah, it's like,
And yeah. So it's people say one, you go to the river alone, which is true. Whole nother
yeah,
story for a whole nother day.
yeah,
And go climb the mountain. But the mountain climbing part is an internal process. It's an inside job. It's not actual mountain climbing. It's overcoming the limitations of the mind so that the spirit can flow through the heart. And your mind, you kind of do lose your mind in the process. But what I
yeah,
mean by that is it's all the preconceived notions that were trapped in there, they dissolve. So you're left with a clean slate, brand new, fresh perspective on life. And now what do you do with it? The challenge with Ascension is you can feel like everything is falling away, everything that you have come to know and believe, you don't believe it anymore. Not after you've seen a different perspective in life. So
oh no,
without grounding and without grounding your energy, you can literally feel psychosis. And
yeah,
that that's challenging because we have known people to succumb to psychosis and take their lives. So
yeah,
what we're here to say is if you are going through some major changes in life and your viewpoint on how you perceive life is altered, don't give up. Don't give up. There are other people that have been in this position. We both have. And that's
yeah,
not to say, we're at the top of the mountain, self-proclaimed gurus or anything like that. We've just been through some severe challenges in life, overcame it. Our perspectives in life changed dramatically. And now life is hilariously worth living. That's all I got
yeah,
to say about that.
yeah, I'll say this. I did not grow up in a religious household, but I became um highly religious later. And so I'm not saying that this happens to all religious people, but I'm just giving my own personal example of this process. And so because I didn't have a religious background, not really. I mean, I grew up around people who went to church, but I myself didn't ever participate really. And so it wasn't until later when I built up all of these beliefs, right? So I joined a particular religion. I started adopting all of these beliefs. But then as I had was moving through the process of ascension, all of the things that I had built up started to be slowly stripped away so that I could come back and talk about that experience later and what is that like? And you know, um what Denise is referring to mostly is ego death. And so when you have this person that you have built around whatever, right? Your career, your profession, your family status, your religious identity, whatever identity you have built for yourself, for that to be slowly, I don't want to use the term torn down, but transformed into something else because you feel you need more, or you feel this doesn't resonate with me anymore like it used to. I'm a different person than I was, and I don't necessarily like the person that I've become. Right. And so, how do you make those changes? And when you voluntarily make those changes, it's a lot easier than, of course, when there's a challenge and then your perception has changed because we all have had different tragedies, of course, that have changed our perception about differing things. right? And so that's what I had to experience. And so I had to experience that erosion of the former person that I was into the person that I am now. But I have a very, very different perspective on spirituality and the role and function of religion and um and the mechanics of spirituality and religion, how they're different, what is for me, what is my truth, because everyone has their own version of the truth, because everyone's on a different timeline. Everyone is sitting from a different perspective based on their own personal experience, right? And so that is, for me, something that, I it's important for me to share that, because other people may be going through that as well, is that, you've built this version, and then that version of yourself gets kind of torn down and torn away. And then, you go through the dark night of the soul and you come out on the other side, and you're just this person. I call it my sea legs. You're this wobbly, I don't know who I am anymore. But then it's an opportunity for you to say, you know what? That's a previous version of myself. Now I get to do it different. How am I going to do it different? Who am I going to become now? And so that's that clean slate that Denise is talking about, is really just that deep dive into your inner self and say, okay, this is how I'm going to show up in the world now.
We were talking about animal totems earlier, so let me put it to you in nature terms. We start out in life, we're the inchworm, and motoring through life pretty good, getting around, not getting stepped on. And then something happens and you start inching really fast. You see a branch and you just know something's going on. I can't explain it. All I know is I got to get to that branch.
Yeah.
Inchworm goes up the branch and boom, it ends up building a chrysalis. So chrysalis hangs there from the branch. Eventually it cracks open, and that inchworm isn't the inchworm anymore, it's butterfly. Does the butterfly come out of the chrysalis and return to its old ways and try to be an inchworm? No, it chooses to fly instead. So that's the whole process of ascension, which is the funniest part. Is all we've ever known is how to be the inchworm. So imagine being a butterfly and you're like, wait a minute, I can go back and I can scoot across the ground, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about with ascension is the funniest part is when we catch ourselves and we're like, wait a minute, I went through this whole transformation process. Why am I trying to go back to being an inchworm?
Yeah, and you cannot energetically. I cannot go back to the life that I had before. I cannot go back and do the things that I had before. I have to forge forward, and I have to trailblaze this new life. It's
fly.
what's required.
And fly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are different phases of ascension that are literally mind-blowing, which we will obviously be talking about, because it falls under the category of what the bleep does this even mean? We'll also be talking about fact or fable. And that's where quantum physics, astrology, and mediumship come into the picture.
Oh, that's going to be one of my favorites. I love being a space nerd.
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
We are back from a break. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is a frequency today. I am your lovely co-host, Tasha Jackson, and I'm with Denise Mojave. And she has her run and go get her tarot deck.
This is Angels, Gods, and Goddesses, and we just had this one come out. Hold on, I have to hold it back. It's the Goddess of Nature. And you reap what you sow. Your dream is coming to fruition.
See, that would fall under the you can't make this shit up.
You just can't. You can't make this up. So, in all fairness, she's gonna have to probably edit this, but I'll go ahead and pull another.
Yeah.
Okay, whoa, that's like a whole reading in and of itself. So let's see what we got. Oh, it's okay to indulge. The angel of guidance. A renewed sense of direction and purpose will soon manifest.
There you go.
The goddess of psychic protection. What you believe, you create. No one can harm you. Oh, here we go. The angel of clearing. It's time to clear out old negative thoughts and beliefs. Weren't we just talking about that with the
Yeah.
transformation?
Yep.
And here we go. The angel of abundance. A steady flow of abundance is about to manifest.
Yay.
So there's your reading. We call that little segment, hit the deck.
Yeah. Well, and okay, this came to me this morning to ask you because I was reflecting on this myself. You go first and then I'll share because your story may be more or less hilarious than mine. Because again, this is all about like just things just happen and you're just like, oh, okay. Like you get to a certain point where you're just like, of course. All right, here we go. How did you start reading tarot cards? How did you get into tarot and oracle cards?
Well, this is an oracle deck and I've had it since 2010. So it's been a while. It's a very well used, very loved, very well worn deck. It was a gift. It was just a gift from somebody I knew, and I thought, what is this? And so I started just feeling into it and using it, and I use it as a barometer because it's my energy that's pulling the cards. And isn't it ironic that what I pulled is so synchronistic to what is happening right now with creating this podcast and with everything that we're launching? Hey, it's the cards. I could say it's me, but it's not. I'm just channeling energy. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I thought that it was going to be just like kind of similar to my story because Denise and I have talked about lots of childhood things or teenager things, and there are just so many parallels. So I thought maybe this would be a parallel thing for you. So this kind of harkens back to something that we were talking about earlier, about how you can resist. You can resist, but for only so long. When the universe calls you for something and you kind of are resistant to it, it will find a way to like beat down your door. And then here you are. So I had a friend. So, okay, I remember I was super orthodox religious. I was super religious. And so even though I had studied a lot of occult and esoteric sciences as a kid and as a teenager, at that time, I completely rejected all of it and I didn't want anything to do with it. And so as I'm coming out of orthodoxy, okay, I had a friend that invited us to her house. We went, she was living in a different state, so we had to fly. So I was at her house and her sister and her mom were there. Well, her sister was a tarot card reader And they kept trying to get me to get a reading because she was trying to practice, because she was going to open her own YouTube channel and start her own tarot reading business and things like that. And so I was just like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. So then finally something in me was just like, just do it, because they're not going to stop asking you or telling you that you should get one until you do it. So just sit and do it. I sat and I was mind blown away at the things that she was saying. I did not tell her anything. Okay. And you could say my friend told her sister, but there were things I didn't tell my friend that her sister said. And my friend was not even around in the vicinity when I was getting the reading. And so there's no way that she could have been like even passing her information in the moment or anything like that. And so I was just like, okay, I'm listening now, because I'm a really skeptical person, actually. I think that's something that people need to understand. I'm a really skeptical person. And so I need a lot of scientific proof in order to believe something. That's just part of being an Aquarius. And so when I sat in that reading and I just was like, there is no way she could know that or talk about that or bring that up. Okay. So the next summer, I had a coworker that asked me, do I read tarot cards? And I said no. And she said, well, I'm going to give you my tarot card set, and I want you to learn how to read so you can do a reading for me. And I said, I'm not going to do that. So then I ended up doing it anyway, because that's the universe is like, right? It's like, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And so I ended up doing it. And that was my very first experience. But what it really was, it wasn't about me necessarily learning how to read tarot cards and do readings for people, which I do not do. I also do not do astrology readings for people. Sorry, unfortunately. But I what it was doing though was training me on understanding energy at a completely different level. So being an energy reader and going into the depths of energy reading, and now I can feel the planetary energies of the different planets. That's how energetically sensitive I've become through the process of learning how to read tarot. Now, I have received the guidance from above to take the training wheels off. And so I very rarely watch tarot, and I very rarely even do readings for myself anymore. I wake up, I have a feel for the energy, I have a feel for how the day is going to go, and I live much more in the moment than I used to. And so that has become a really important part of this journey, because the past is already gone and done. At this point, it's just an illusion memory thing that happened to you. And the future is absolutely an illusion. It has not been created yet. Right. And so the only thing that you can do is live in the moment. And I just, I cannot say, there are no words to describe how energetically sensitive I am now, but I understand, especially quantum physics and quantum mechanics and particle physics on a way different level than I did before. And so that's, again, some of that like busting out of those beliefs, because even though I studied physics, I never married the two together, right? To have this understanding of the world that I had sought, that I very first, when I was a teenager, was like, I want to understand how the universe works, right? That was like my desire that I launched out into the universe. And this is the journey that essentially it has taken me through. How cool is that?